Lance Hall here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Happy to welcome Brandon Davis, lead singer, founder of Bravo Delta, to the program today. How you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing very well, man. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for giving me a call. Big day for you guys. We're talking on Saturday, February 9th. You've got your CD release party tonight at Count Vamps out there in Vegas, hometown show. You got Taking Dawn, Words as Weapons playing with you. You got to be excited to get this thing out there.
Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's been a long road for this album, and the fact that we have it done and it's already been released, and now we can kind of celebrate with our friends and our family and some of our closest people in Las Vegas. It's going to be a really special night.
Cool. Now, this album is one that was totally written, produced, recorded, everything by the band.
That's correct. Yeah, we're really proud of that fact. We're not against working with producers or songwriters, but this particular album, we had a lot of time to work on it. It took us about 3 years, and we kind of just did it ourselves, and we're really proud of that and really happy with how it turned out.
Did any of you have experience with production or mixing or mastering or anything like that?
Yeah, I've been around the block a few times and been in a band that was signed to an indie label and has worked with producers and songwriters, and so I've got experience with that. And we're just we're a really tight group, and we know what we like, and we're kind of seasoned musicians, and we just went at it, and like I said, we're really happy with how it turned out.
Very cool. Couple questions I've got to ask, and I did some research on you guys, and if I could find the answers to these, I wouldn't ask because I know they're probably a little bit redundant. Band name, Bravo Delta, where did that come from?
Yeah, so originally it came from a nickname, right? So when I was a kid, I had some friends that, their family were military based, and, it was kind of a fun thing. You'd take the phonetic alphabet and, put your name and your initials to it, and mine is, BD, Brandon Davis. And so that kind of was since I was a kid. Well, when the band that I was in through the early to mid-2000s came to a close in 2009, I needed a name for a solo acoustic project. And that just kind of hit me, and I stuck with it and ran with it. So the next year in 2010, when I found myself in Southern California to work on a side project with Marcos Curiel, the guitar player from POD, and then that eventually came to a close. I was back at it, with Bravo Delta. At that time, found out that Andy Ingram, my guitar player, was coming out from Oklahoma, and immediately stole him before anybody else could get him because he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we started building Bravo Delta at that time, and decided to just keep that name, and here we are.
Very, very cool. Band logo is cool. Did you come up with the logo?
I did, yeah, thank you. And I'm a bit of a graphic designer myself, and so I did come up with that. And, the name is really special to us now, because, you think about, Bravo Delta and kind of having that military kind of feel, I guess. But
yeah.
For us, we are a company. We are a battalion. We're a group of guys that are fighting for one purpose, working towards one goal, eating turkey sandwiches out of a cooler of the back of the van in a Walmart parking lot in Fayetteville, Arkansas, just whatever, we're fighting together. And, again, I'm not naive enough to think that a band and, the military have any correlation at all. One, protects our freedoms and our families, and one, provides entertainment. So do get that, but for us, it does have a deeper meaning.
Yeah, very cool. I also like the album, the cover, photo, or is that a photo, or is that some art, or for Unbreakable?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. So there was a photographer that we found some of his artwork that he uses kind of some treated things, and I really liked his work. And this was a long time ago, and as a designer, I kind of just grab things and hold on to it for a while, and if I can ever use it. And when we were kind of coming up with the concept for this album and the name and everything, that just kind of kept coming back to me, is that image of a person kind of out on a ledge or a cliff, looking out into the great beyond, the abyss, the unknown,
mm-hmm.
and just, ready to take it on and feeling that unbreakable spirit. So I immediately, started to toy with that and kind of manipulate it a bit, and I think it fits perfect.
Yeah, really. It's a really great image. Now, you talked briefly about the beginnings. You started doing some acoustic shows, I think, as far back as 2007, correct?
2009.
Okay.
You know, I was doing some acoustic stuff, you know, not under the name Bravo Delta, but, you know, back in my days in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you know, we'd have these things called Tuesday Booze Days that, you know, it was a Tuesday night and we'd get, you know, 50 people together and it was at this little bar and, you know, we would just play, you know, acoustic songs. We'd have local musicians come up and play with us and it was a lot of fun. But, so that's kind of where some of these songs, you know, started and, you know, eventually, like I said, in 2009, you know, started performing under the stage name Bravo Delta.
Right, and then you started collaborating with Andy first. This is the guitarist. You talked about meeting who you wanted him, right?
Yeah, you know, we were in a cover band, you know, in the mid 2000s in Oklahoma together called Dr. Squealsgood. That was basically like Tulsa's version of Steel Panther. I mean, we had wigs, spandex, the whole thing. It was hilarious, and
nice.
you know, we you know, it was all classic, you know, hair metal stuff, and it was a lot of fun. But, you know, he went to Berklee School of Music in Boston, and just one of the best guitar players I've ever known. And so when I found out that he was coming out to California where I was, and I was kind of at that time starting to build for Bravo Delta, I had to have him. And, you know, so, yeah, we started, you know, I was kind of giving him singer, songwriter, acoustic things, and he was kind of helping me to mold it into, you know, more of a hard rock metal kind of thing, and it was great, and I couldn't be more blessed to have him.
And then I read Brian Scott, your drummer, approached you after you did an acoustic show at the Key Club?
No, that was actually our very first drummer
Okay.
that did that. But no, Brian, we actually found in Las Vegas via an advertisement. And, you know, he showed up, and we were just like, oh, God, this guy hits so hard, and he's got so much passion behind the way he plays. We were just really impressed, and again, just had to have him. So we're pretty lucky.
And it was around that time we talked briefly before we started recording here. Roman, your current bass player, came into the band as well.
Yeah, same thing. You know, he responded to an ad as we were looking for a new fit at bass, and you know, he came in, and you know, we'd had a bunch of guys in, you know, to audition, and you know, they'd either show up and wouldn't have their, you know, pardon my French, shit together, or they, you know, they wouldn't know what they were doing or whatever else. And he came in and he just nailed it, and you know, kind of told us a little bit about himself. You know, he's from New York. He worked at a studio, a major studio. You know, his family's been in music, and you know, he gets it, right, and he blew us away. So we have a great group of guys.
Very, very cool. Now we get into the release. I got questions about some songs here and some things that I picked up on. We'll get into Unbreakable. As I was banging around on YouTube, of course, you just released the video for Unbreakable, which is very, very cool. Where was that like shot in a big warehouse with like some staging or something? Or who came up with the concept for that video? It's really cool.
Yeah. So we kind of had an idea. You know, we wanted to put you know, we had a little gap between the two EPs that we released in this album as well. And, you know, there was some stuff in between, you know, me having a couple children and, you know, members having surgeries or moving out of town, you know, doing different things. And, you know, so it took us a while to do it. And so we kind of look at this, you know, not only being our first full-length album, but our first album in a long time, and, you know, a new passion and direction. And, you know, so it's kind of like a new start for us.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to kind of put our foot forward as, you know, instead of doing, you know, kind of a treated storyline, here's some actresses or actors and, you know, the typical kind of thing, we wanted to do, you know, a performance piece. And, you know, that kind of requires having some additional elements to make it an interesting video, which includes a really cool location and some lighting and some different things. So we looked for a while here in Las Vegas of just the ideal location, and through a friend of a friend who introduced us to a guy that got us to another guy, we got to get to this place, and it's just amazing. It's an old meatpacking plant that sat empty for a long time, and it's about a 160,000 square foot building that was just perfect. And you know, it's hard in Las Vegas to find places like that because, you know, old stuff, they blow it up and build new, right? That's what Vegas does.
Right.
And so we were really, really fortunate to find this place. But yeah, it's just a huge industrial warehouse with these steel pipes, and, you know, just really, really cool, dingy look that we were going for.
Yeah, it was a great, great look. Now, did you guys shoot the video yourselves, or you have help with that, or?
No, we did have, we had a director and a videographer, and then the videographer had his assistant as well. We had the guy running the lighting board to be able to control all the lights to go along with the song. So we had a full crew there. And, you know, we were just really blessed to have that. I mean, you know, everybody that was involved did an amazing job, and we couldn't be happier with the way that it turned out. Believe it or not, that thing was shot with an iPhone X.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's an interesting story. 2 days before, you know, after we found location and we're set, we got the date booked, everything. 2 days before shoot day, we find out the camera that we had originally lined up, which was an Epic Red, which is like a $20,000, you know, movie quality camera, was no longer available. We'll just, you know, long story short. And so last minute, you know, decision, we decided to go with the iPhone X, and the videographer had used it on a couple of projects in the past and said it's great in low light, and, you know, we can kind of have some more mobile usability and get around and do some different things that we wouldn't have been able to do with an Epic Red. And so, it worked out perfect. We're really happy.
That's amazing. Now, I saw you put up a post just a little while ago on your Facebook page with the CD release party tonight. You're looking for some fan footage for a video that's going to be forthcoming. That sounds pretty cool as well.
Yeah. We've been compiling. You know, we've done some shows. You know, with some larger shows like The Used and you know, Adelia's Way and Nothing More, stuff like that. There's some smaller local stuff, but we've been compiling, you know, live video and stuff that we've been getting from our shows for a few years now, and just kind of waiting for the right opportunity. And so we're going to kind of cut all that up and create a video, like a live montage type thing for one of the songs on this new album, and probably put it out in a couple months. But we want to sprinkle in some fun things from, you know, friends and family and fans, you know, them having, you know, fun at our show, and, you know, taking shots at the bar, and, you know, just being silly, and, you know, just smiling and happy, and, you know, stuff like that, because we want to be able to kind of mix that in to really show what, you know, what really matters at the end of the day, and it's the people that we're close with, and those human connections. So we're excited for that.
Very cool. And going down through the track list, and then going down to YouTube, I found some videos dating back like a year or two for Virus and Karma. Are those a couple of older tunes that you redid, or were they singles you wanted to put on the album?
Yeah, so I alluded back a while ago to, you know, we had kind of some downtime in the band. Well, you know, we wanted to get out just kind of some music to kind of keep interest there and to kind of keep things coming out somewhat. And so, yeah, we did release Karma as a single by itself, and then we did a video with it, and then the same thing with Virus.
Yeah.
Karma is on this new album, the same as it was when we released it as a single a couple of years ago. However, Virus, we thought that it never really kind of hit the mark of where we wanted it to be as far as recording and mixing production. So we scrapped it, re-recorded it, remixed it, and put it on this album, and it's got a whole new life. And so, yeah, both, again, Virus and Karma are on this new album. However, Virus is way different, and Karma is just as good as it was prior.
Sweet. Unbreakable, that guitar hook at the intro just totally hooked me. I think that was melodic. It just sucks you right in, you know, for that entire song. I thought that was brilliant. Great way to open the album. Great way for the video and everything. I love it. Great stuff.
Thank you.
The other tune I wanted to talk about was Numbers. That riff you've got going under the verse is just nasty, you know. And then that scream at the end you did, I was kind of like, whoa. And then you go down to a nice subtle vocal to close out. I thought it was brilliant. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. You know, we live in an age where, you know, not too long ago, you know, Mark Zuckerberg is, you know, in front of Congress, you know, explaining himself and how, you know, a data breach and, you know, millions of people's of information got compromised, and, you know, and we think about, you know, how, you know, large corporations will, you know, look at you as a number, you know, you know, you're just your demographic, you're a piece of analytics, you know, you fall into some sort of category or some sort of buyer list, you know, and, you know, we're not, we're human beings. And so that's kind of where the inspiration for that came from, you know, lyrically. But, you know, the song itself, got an interesting story. So I wrote that, you know, a while back, and we had it in one tuning, right? And you know, as I'm trying to write lyrics to it, it just wasn't quite fitting, and I had these great lyrics and this great melody, and it just never quite fit right. And so I started to mess around with tunings, and I went to a different tuning, and it just clicked and it hit, and you know, I was able to kind of go a bit stronger on the chorus, and so that song itself, you know, went through about 3 or 4 different versions before we got to the final one, and I think it's just great, and I think it's strong enough to carry as a single.
Yeah, like I say, that riff is just nasty, and I mean that in a very complimentary way, you know.
Yeah.
The other tune, I hope I can say this right. I'm scared to death to try and say this word. Modus operandi.
Yeah.
Die.
Yeah. Die. Yeah.
Die. I am a guitar solo guy, and the guitar solo in that song just completely blew me away. And then the way you kind of drop down, put a little bit of drum segue in there, and then back into the song was amazing. I'm assuming, is that Andy doing the solo, or is that you?
Oh yeah, definitely Andy. He's our solo guy. I'm just a rhythm rhythm guy. So yeah, no, he killed it, man. And that you know, that song is really strong as well. And you know, just we try to be, you know, well, I do anyways, try to be, you know, as positive as I can, you know, as a person and as a father, and you know, whatever else. And I think you can kind of get that in some of the lyric content on this album. But, you know, there are occasions where we're all human and we kind of let some of the negativity kind of, you know, get to us. And I think that's kind of a place that I was in when I, you know, wrote that song, is, you know, just kind of being, you know, we need to, you know, shut it down, just burn it down, start fresh, you know, start over, you know, kind of thing. But, yeah, that song is so strong, and I think it's probably one of my favorites to play live.
I can see, yeah, I can bet it would be. The other tune I liked, and I was listening to these in sequence, and that's why I've got a question, you know, after I ask you about this one. I was real curious to get to Lost at Sea V1 and V2. To me, that's like, you guys is like Freebird, you know? V1 is kind of mellow, you know, kind of, and then you go to V2, and it's just like this guitar opera, you know, is the word that comes to mind immediately. How did those two sections get united together? Is that a plan from the beginning, or just two different songs, or how'd that all work?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, it does kind of feel like our, you know, like or this album's opus, you know, or it's kind of the, you know, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more, you know, musician-y, a little bit more artistic. It's really cool, and you know, it all started as, you know, Andy's kind of had ideas for that. It's not the whole thing. It was kind of put together, but there's a couple ideas in there that he's had for a long time, even long before he probably met me. And you know, so we were able to kind of use some of that, which was really neat. But it started out as just one big long instrumental piece, and wasn't really hearing, you know, vocals to some of it, but kind of was to other parts, and so that's kind of how it got broken up. But it's just it's a really, really cool piece that, you know, tells a story, and it starts, you know, kind of slow and chill, and you know, the sailor's, you know, finding himself, you know, lost, and you know, realizing the, you know, the terrors that are around him, and you know, eventually it comes to this chaotic craziness of, you know, and then eventually kind of brings it back down. So it kind of takes you on this roller coaster type thing, and we just think it's really cool. I'm really happy with it. Yeah,
it came out well. And then that brings me to the song afterwards, was Insignificant, which the part that I liked about that was the V2 part of Lost at Sea is just so busy, and there's so much going on and everything. And then when it finally winds down, Insignificant comes on, and you've got like this subtle, just Brian on drums intro, and I liked it so much because it sort of gave me, as a listener, a little opportunity to breathe, you know, after everything was happening. And I was wondering if you sequence things on purpose that way, you know, if you really paid attention to sequence with the album, because I thought it was brilliant, just the way it gave you a little bit of a breather before everything picked back up again with that drum intro.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, from when we got the final mixes and masters back from Andrew Kapp was the name of the guy that mixed and mastered it, and he did an amazing job, a guy here in Las Vegas. But we got those back from him, and it took quite a while of us to kind of sit on it and try, different, song orders and putting songs together and, some different things, because that was the idea, from, once we got to the point where we said, we're going to do a full-length album, but, because we've never done one, we're going to do it the way that we want to do it, not by any other industry standards. We're going to, and if we're going to do it, we're going to do it big and do, the cliche instrumental stuff. We're going to do intros and outros. We're going to songs space into each other, just the whole thing. So, we really took our time and were really thoughtful on that and what songs work the best, ending and starting into each other, and which ones flow the best. And, I think we nailed it, man. But you're right. That was kind of the point, is out of the chaotic craziness of Lost at Sea Volume 2, to kind of get that slow breather and then coming into the next song. So
yeah.
I'm glad you caught that.
Absolutely. Just great stuff. I mean, and sequencing is such a lost art, at times, but I think it's coming back. The more bands I talk to, the more they're saying, oh yeah, we definitely, like you, we sat down, we tried this, we tried the running order and stuff like that, and it worked really good. Talking with Brandon Davis, lead vocalist and co-founder of Bravo Delta, Las Vegas-based band. Their new album, Unbreakable, out February 1st. CD release party is tonight. Talk about your website, www.bravodeltamusic.com. You got some real cool stuff on there. You got a date again tomorrow night as well, don't you?
Not tomorrow night. Nope.
Yeah? Okay.
We're chilling. We've got a convention. We're going to be at this month in Las Vegas. It's an active rock radio convention, but we've got we're in Tucson. We haven't announced these dates yet, but we're going to in the coming days. But we're going to be at Tucson, Arizona on March 22nd, in Phoenix, Arizona on March 23rd. We've got some stuff we're going to be announcing for March 28th and 29th, and then working on some video stuff and doing some things through April. And then May, June, and July, we're going to be back out on the road hitting it again, more towards the Midwest and south part of the country.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Brandon, I always like to wind things up with just sort of what I call my silly questions. Hopefully these are questions you've never been asked before. Sound good?
Oh, fair enough. Bring it on.
First car you bought with your own money?
A 1983 green Volvo station wagon.
Okay. And it's probably still running, isn't it? Those things never die.
Man, I don't know. I wish I knew. Well, believe it or not, I was born and raised in northern Illinois.
Okay.
So I'm 16 years old, and it was after a dance at my high school, and I told my mom that I was going to go stay at a buddy's house, and instead we're all going to drive out to Chicago, which is about an hour drive from my hometown.
Uh-huh.
And I blew the engine halfway to Chicago and left it on the side of the highway.
Great story. And how did you explain that to your mom?
I didn't have to, because the Illinois Highway Patrol called her and told her.
Oh, okay. Nice of them, wasn't it? All right.
I was in a bit of trouble, if you can imagine.
I can bet you were. Favorite old school wrestler?
Oh man, I'm such a Hulk guy, man. I remember watching the Hulkster when I was young, man.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan's been my guy for forever. I mean, Macho Man, that was another big one, but before the a lot of the newer ones came around, the originals were.
You're a Hulkamania.
That's right.
Hulkamaniac. Current cell phone ringtone?
It is our song, Modus Sapientia.
Nice. Given your choice of household duties, dishes or laundry?
Oh, dishes, for sure.
All right. If you could go back in time and eat one of your mom's homemade meals from your childhood, what would you have her cook?
Or meatloaf.
Meatloaf, okay.
Kills it, yep.
Would you rather go back in time and meet your ancestors, or forward in time and meet your great-great-great-grandchildren?
Ancestors.
Okay. Favorite smell?
My children.
Okay. And this is the one we always have the most fun with. If they were to make a movie of your life, who would you have play you in the movie? And it's your movie, your life. You can pick anybody.
Nice. Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell. Very cool.
It would just be hilarious.
All right. Well, Brandon, again, I thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me today here on Let's Discuss with Lance Hall, talking with Brandon of Bravo Delta. Their full-length album, Unbreakable, and once again, out February 1st. Available at all media outlets, but they can order it at the website, correct? You got some bundles and stuff going on there?
Absolutely, right there on the store.
So www.bravodeltamusic.com is the place to get it.
Yes, sir.
Best of luck with tonight's show and everything that you got going forward. You guys got a great sound. Love the album. Hoping to get up beyond the bigger and better and, all that good stuff.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate you taking the time. It's guys like you and taking the time with us to talk about the album. That's really helping us kind of get things out to a larger audience. So I can't thank you enough for the time today.
Hey, thank you, Brandon. Take care.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Bye bye.